What was the Red Scare? The Red Scare was a period of anti-communist hysteria during the 20th century. This hysteria spread due to events such as the Bolshevik Revolution. This revolution in Russia was how the Communist Party installed themselves and took official control. This leading to Americans feeling panicked for something similar to happen in America. This forced the U.S. government to take action to calm the citizens, thus invoking specific acts for the safety of the citizens and the United States as a whole.
The Espionage Act of 1917. The Espionage Act was made during World War I as an act to punish those who defied the U.S., either by fines or imprisonment. Conspiring against the United States was either feeding information to the enemy or obstruction of military action such as recruitment or so much as speaking out against the war. Critics and anti-war activists were fined or imprisoned under the Espionage Act.
Sedition Act of 1918. The Sedition Act was an extension of the Espionage Act that made it a crime to use disloyal, profane, scurrilous, or abusive language about the United States government, its flag, or its armed forces, especially in relation to the war effort. It targeted any form of expression that could be construed as undermining the war effort or promoting disobedience to the government. It was also controversial and raised concerns about freedom of speech and civil liberties, critics arguing that it violated their First Amendment rights. One notable case brought under the Sedition Act of 1918 is the case of Eugene versus Debs, a prominent labor leader and socialist political activist. Debs was charged and convicted under the Sedition Act for a speech he delivered in Canton, Ohio on June 16, 1918. The Sedition Act of 1918 was repealed in 1920 following the end of World War I and a shift in public sentiment away from the wartime fervor that had led to its passage. However, it remains a significant example of government repression of dissent during times of war or national crisis. The FBI, under the leadership of Director J. Edgar Hoover, played a central role in investigating and combating perceived communist threats during the Red Scare. Hoover was a staunch anti-communist who believed that communism posed a serious threat to American democracy and national security. One of the most infamous cases during the Second Red Scare was the trial and execution of Julius and Ethel Rosenberg in 1953. The Rosenbergs were accused of passing atomic secrets to the Soviet Union and were convicted of espionage in a highly controversial trial. The FBI played a central role in the investigation and prosecution of the Rosenbergs, and their case became a symbol of the anti-communist hysteria of the era. Overall, the FBI's activities reflected the broader climate of fear and suspicion surrounding communism and contributed to the suppression of leftist political movements and dissent in the United States.
Additional information about the Red Scare. MacArthurism. One of the most notable features of the Red Scare was MacArthurism, named after Senator Joseph McCarthy. He claimed that numerous communist and Soviet spies had infiltrated the U.S. government and other institutions, leading to widespread paranoia and baseless accusations against many innocent people. House Un-American Activities Committee, or HUAC. This was a committee of the U.S. House of Representatives that investigated allegations of communist activity in the U.S. during the early years of the Cold War. HUAC's hearings led to accusations against many people in the arts and government, contributing to the era's fear and suspicion. Effects on civil liberties. The Red Scare led to a significant erosion of civil liberties in the United States. Many people were surveilled, harassed, or arrested without sufficient evidence. The fear of communism led to policies that infringed on the freedom of speech and the right to a fair trial, as suspicion alone could tarnish reputations and destroy lives.
Overall, the Red Scare had a profound impact on domestic U.S. policy, shaping government responses to perceived communist threats and influencing a range of policies related to civil liberties, immigration, labor relations, and foreign affairs. While the Red Scare eventually subsided, its legacy continued to influence U.S. politics and society for decades to come.